Hey, good Wednesday morning, and thanks for checking out your latest long-range forecast update. Michael Clark here with BAM Weather with the latest, going over the latest forecast thoughts here. We're getting into just everyone prime time wanting to get out there and get field work done, get some stuff planted, and so we're going to go over just the latest and greatest. All right, so do me a favor, share this with a friend, send it to a friend if you find any value in the video. We love doing these on Wednesdays and sharing with you all our latest internal thought processes here. Clarity shows our soil moisture percentile index, again, full interactive map you can interrogate, showing obviously that we still need rain here across the central U.S., especially across portions of Iowa, eastern Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri. We need rain here, and we're going to get it. We're going to get a lot of it. The pattern's fixing to turn, again, pretty active as we've discussed. So it's coming. It's coming. We've got rainfall here just in the next 24 hours starting to ramp up. This forecast plot updates every hour. It's a blend of over 100 different weather models, and you can interrogate the map and find out how much rain you're going to get in the next 24 hours every hour. Okay. Current radar this morning does show some rain again, kind of starting to get its act together. Got a system that came through yesterday, brought some colder air moving off to the east, and then shower and thunderstorm activity that's going to start to ramp up here. And the severe risks that are going to start to ramp up. All right, we're going to talk about that. The day one forecast shows some strong storm chances across south central Texas. That risk expanding, especially across Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas, with an enhanced threat for tornadoes tomorrow, hail as well. Definitely some significant severe weather being possible. The threat slides east here by day 3, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, the kind of the Arklatex regions here, the deep south, for more severe weather. So no shortage of activity coming up. We'll show you real quick here just the latest European weather model showing the storm system, again, getting its act together tomorrow. You can see the thunderstorm activity erupting, and then getting into Friday, it slides east. This is a snapshot here. Friday, rain across Nebraska, the Dakotas, Iowa, Missouri, Minnesota, Illinois. It's a widespread rainmaker here. The heaviest totals will start to wane off the further east that you go, but nonetheless a big low pressure system with a lot of rain works through. And then a reinforcing secondary storm system with more severe weather possible. Saturday into Sunday, again across the Central Plains, very wet, a lot of needed and desired rainfall coming. And again, those heavier rains start to let up east, but still raining. It's not a pattern that doesn't feature any rain out through next week. Okay, a look at 7-day rain totals, as I'd mentioned. This is the European weather model. And again, if anyone could miss out on some of the heavier rains, it's going to be all about where the thunderstorm development occurs here. If it's just a little bit east like the European has, that's where the rain would set up. Something to keep in mind. Western Kansas, panhandles, Texas, and Oklahoma could miss on some of the rains. Regardless, most of Nebraska, you can see some holes here. Anytime you get thunderstorm development, you're always going to have places that miss out a little bit, fortunately. The heavier precipitation totals start to, again, wane off here towards the east. In fact, the models have come way down in totals here just over the last couple of days, especially for the eastern ag belt here. Nonetheless, the next 7 days features an overall widespread area of precipitation being possible here. Active pattern, right? Active pattern here in the Central Plains. I think it's going to kind of continue. This is a look at the excessive rainfall forecast here. Again, an enhanced focus really across day 2 across Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, and then portions of eastern Iowa, western Illinois, and then another really a focus here in areas that need rain: eastern Kansas, west Missouri, northeast Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas. I wouldn't be shocked to see maybe a moderate risk of excessive rainfall here getting into, that is day 2. These maps are swapped. This is tomorrow, and then this is day 3 here, getting into Saturday. So yeah, you can see that there. All right, Friday into Saturday. So nonetheless, again, here is the severe weather outlooks, which we kind of just went over. But again, even beyond the 3rd day, get into day 4, and that's the weekend severe weather threat that comes back into day 5. So this is a multi-day severe weather risk here over the next 5 days, as a couple of storm systems are going to plague the central U.S., with heavy rain and severe weather certainly being possible, right? Week 1 across the top, we're using the European ensemble mean. Really no reason to disagree with it the time being. Temperatures get noticeably quite warmer than what they have been. And again, the above normal precipitation focus is going to come across the central U.S., drier to the east. Again, there's where the storm systems are developing and ejecting out ahead, but you may have spots in western Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas where you miss out on the rains. Drier again overall the east. This is welcome news for Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee. They want to get in and start getting some planting done. And then week 2, we kind of continue the same pattern. Again, we're going to keep it drier here. Points east, but active still here. Again, a lot of folks replenishing soil moisture, getting rainfall. Drier trends continue to develop further east. Regardless, very, very warm. This is the first full week of May, and when you have temperatures that are averaging out 5 to 9 degrees above average in May, that's warm. Okay, those are warm temperatures, and kind of on par here, on course for where we think we're going to go as we look into the month of May. There will be a little bit of a pullback, though, I think, in terms of the extreme warmth. There's a cold front that could come through and at least keep temperatures at or slightly below normal for a couple of, maybe a 10-day period or so in May. The precipitation, we think, continues to overall run active in the central and southern plains. Here's week 3. You kind of see where the precip is active here. And week 4, we kind of see it still active out and through here. Still some drier signals of it being drier across the east and across the top there. Again, I wouldn't take these verbatim. The general idea is that it can be seasonal temperatures and seasonal precipitation would be the idea in that week 3 and 4 time frame. As you look here, sorry, I heard some honking going on out there. As you look at the May forecast in general, looking at the trends in the CFS monthly and the overall output, I don't have any reason right now to really disagree with this. The analogs are supporting an overall drier look here and wetter in the central U.S. for May. Okay, there's strong support there in the guidance and in the analog package. And there's strong support for warmer conditions to prevail east, if anything seasonal out here because of the rainfall. All right. So possibly, maybe the western half of the ag belt, maybe they are dealing with some potential delays in planting. But I think the eastern part of it tends to bode drier over time as we go deeper into May. Okay. So that is something to at least keep in mind here going forward with that. When you look at this from an analog perspective, I really like 2007 and 2010. The reason I like those is because those years we're seeing declining global winds, or the angular momentum is going negative with developing La Niñas. And that's essentially what's happening right now, is we are seeing those two things occurring. And those years happen to have the most number of days with those two episodes, two phenomenons occurring, if you will. Okay. 07 and 10 in May, overall, they were drier here across the east. You can kind of see what I'm talking about for the most part. There's a separation here in precip. It's drier here and it's wetter here. Okay. You can't get down to the specifics. If you live right here in northeast Iowa and you see that I'm saying it, you don't get specific here. These are generalized ideas for precipitation patterns, and you can see it in the modeling, right? You can see it in the modeling. Again, it's a little wetter here. A little indication of wetter there. You see it there. You see what I'm talking about, the general idea. The warmth is favored to be here. The CFS is favoring that as well. The general patterns match the general analog thought process. There's my point. Okay. So what about beyond May? What is our current thought process? What are we thinking beyond May? Well, La Niña. What's interesting is a lot of the seasonal model data is still struggling, and including that of the European seasonal. And in terms of suggesting a La Niña, here's the European seasonal forecast right here. It never actually takes us into a La Niña. The La Niña is the blue line here. And you can see it never does it. And it's interesting because looking at things at face value, this is the change in the last 4 weeks in the equatorial Pacific Ocean temperature departures. And you can see that it's overall ENSO is cooling. It continues to cool. All right, that's continued to happen, which is another indication of sliding into La Nina, which is the cooling of the equatorial Pacific waters. But also here, I want you to see these subsurface temperature anomalies. This is in February. Watch this erode with each check-in, March. Okay. And look at now into April, and the latest analysis now is really seeing the erosion of the warmth and the expansion of the wide coverage here of the colder departures. All right. That's La Nina developing. And so the models that are not seeing this, I think, are wrong in their predictions. So not totally abnormal. Not totally abnormal to see that. But, something to keep in mind is that we're seeing that. And so when we analog this, we want to look at years where we see this type of stuff happening. And we want to look at years where we're seeing the similar things already happening, like the La Nina is developing, the AAM is going negative, and we do have a negative PDO. And so those are some key indicators as to what summer could hold for us. When you look at the 3 years that really do that, you have years like 1998, 07, and 2010. Those are 3 pretty decent analog years. And they all feature a really, actually, I'm gonna redraw this. They feature a really strong southwest flow and potentially northwest flow precip pattern with a very warm overall forecast. With a ridge here, what would happen is you would have a flow southwest, and then as that ridge at times expands and we have a couple of significant heat waves, you would have northwest flow this summer. So the summer, I think, if anything, has a risk of being very wet, very stormy, and very warm. Well, years 98, 07, 10 kind of did that. In the corn yield department, 98 and 07 were above trend yields. 2010 was slightly below. In the soybean yield department, 98 was above, but 07 and 10 were below. Probably a little bit too much rain there, right? It's kind of the general thought process right now from an analog standpoint. When you look at our forecast here, our current maps, if anything, what could happen, I think if anything that needs to change here would be that we're probably going to be looking at making this wetter. All right, maybe this slides a touch southeast, but overall I still think it's a very warm summer. But potentially the summer forecast is trending wetter in here with the scenario I just discussed. Still don't think we have a reason to suggest. I don't think we're looking at a above trend yield this year right now, based on there could be some problems with too much precip, too much heat, or too many severe weather episodes possibly. So those are some things we're watching right now. The latest thought process and the seasonal outlook. If you guys have questions, feel free to reach out to us, bamwx.com. Again, share this with anyone you would like to, and we'll see you next week.